Good afternoon. You're listening to me, Shazia on the BBC Asian Network. Now, who are your favourite comedians? Do you prefer Asian comedians where you can relate to their jokes? My next guests have organised an Asian comedy night at the Watford Coliseum in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be going along and I'm very excited because there's going to be a whole host of comedians taking to the stage. I can't even say, I'm apologising. Prittle Kargram joins me now. And from America, we're joined by Reem Edan, and a comedian who's set to take the stage on the night as well is in the studio. Kai Samra, you'll be making your debut.
Debut at this night.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very exciting to do a comedy gig where I'm not the only Asian comedian. That's what it's usually like on every mainstream comedian. So it's really good. I think there are amazing Asian comedians out there, and I think these sort of nights are definitely going to help the comedy scene and Asians in general.
Well, Kai, it seems like all the Asian comedians I can think of are on this list.
So who's who?
Hyde Panesar, Atif Nawaz, Reem Edan, who we've got on the line as well. How did you get into comedy yourself? Because it's not the traditional route for young Asian men. Like, you're not an accountant, you're not a lawyer.
Yeah, it definitely was my parents' decision. It wasn't like doctor, lawyer, comedian. Comedian wasn't ever an option. But I remember about a year ago doing my first stand-up gig, and it kind of just snowballed from there. I was doing music first. That was the reason I came to London. But comedy is incredible, doing stand-up comedy. You can gig every single night, and like I said, it just kind of snowballed from there, and then I just ended up doing it all the time, really.
Fantastic. How do your family feel about this? Have they been to your gigs?
Well, my mum's very supportive. She's one of these people, she's just supportive no matter what I do. She thinks I'm a good swimmer because I haven't drowned yet. Like, whatever I do, she's just always supportive. So, but yeah, she's yet to come. I don't know. I don't like the added pressure. I don't like people I know coming to watch me.
Oh, really?
It's a really weird thing. I could perform in front of strangers, but people that I know, it's that an added sort of pressure. I mean, our friends have obviously come and seen me, but I mean, inevitably she will come. Hopefully she'll come to this one. I think she'll enjoy it. I think she's a Paul Chowdhury fan.
Oh, she'll come for Paul Chowdhury. There we are.
Yeah, not a fan of his language. But,
we've got Reem Edan on the line as well. Welcome to the Asian Network, Reem. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All the way from the States. Now, you're Iraqi American. Mm-hmm. No doubt with the current climate over there, it's given you a lot of material.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. Just being Iraqi, living in the United States is kind of weird in itself. But then also being Muslim adds a layer to it. And then as of November, I'm not sure if you guys or the whole world knows, with the presidential election, it shifted things. But it's definitely given me more to talk about, especially, with such a platform that I have to actually use for good, I guess.
Yeah, we talk about President Trump and America and the election, quite a bit on this show, because obviously our listeners quite often have been affected by some of those issues. What kind of audience do you have at your shows in America, and what kind of audience are you anticipating here in the UK?
It's a mixed bag in the United States. I live in Los Angeles, but I've performed in a few states, and it's predominantly not Asian, it's predominantly white. Oftentimes, I'm the first Iraqi or Muslim they've ever met, which is really unique and interesting because you kind of take the role as a speaker for, your quote unquote people. But I'm definitely anticipating, just because of the name of the night, Asian Comedy Night, that will be a lot more diverse of a crowd, which I'm trying to connect with a little bit more. Which it's interesting when it's you versus people in the U.S. versus when you have people more on your side who can relate more to your material.
Prittle, let me come to you and talk a bit more about the motivation for putting together so many big names in Asian comedy all in one night. I mean, it's headlined by Paul Chowdhury. Who else is in the lineup, and how did you go about getting everyone involved in this?
Sure. So thank you very much first for having me on the show. The idea is that life is stressful enough as it is. Everyone needs a laugh. There are so many talented Asians out there that I had the idea of having the whole theme around Asians. Of course, getting Paul Chowdhury and the venue confirmed and marrying those two up in terms of availability was a big challenge. But once that happened, I had started to put up the rest of the lineup. And we've got some great people coming on. You know, Anil Desai, he's a fantastic impressionist. We've got obviously Kai Samra sitting next to me, Reem from the US, and then Atif Nawaz, Hyde Panasar, and Sindhu V, fantastic British Asian comedians. So yeah, really looking forward to the evening.
What made you choose Paul Chowdhury to headline?
Paul Chowdhury, I mean, what can I say? Number one British Asian comedian. Everyone loves him to bits. He's fantastic, and I think you know, it was important that he accepted to do a gig of this nature, which isn't his own show. But yeah, I think he's a big name, and people love him. People will come to see him perform.
Bristol, the thing is, organising an event like this with all the people you've got involved is no small feat, because you've got a day job as well. How are you balancing all of this? What made you do it?
Well, firstly, sleep is for the weak, and yeah, it's very tough. I've got a very good team behind me, you know, Theni and Risha, and various other people supporting the show. It wouldn't be possible without them. So yeah, I've got a great team, and like I said, you know, I can sleep when I'm dead.
Oh gosh. Well, you've got Kai, who's in the studio with us, on this lineup. How did you select the acts for this show? Because there's actually a lot of Asian comedians out there now.
Absolutely. I was very keen to offer a diverse range, albeit under the banner Asian. As you've seen, obviously I've got Paul Chowdhury there, and then the rest, I've got a mix of female, male, young, old, Punjabi, Gujarati, you know, Hindi, various backgrounds. So I was quite keen to get a mix, a good mix, diverse mix, so it offers everything, offers a lot for all types of Asians, and that was key for me.
Do you think we're going to be seeing a lot more of sort of, you know, comedy made of our current political situation, Brexit, Trump? We've already heard Reem say that the situation in America has given her a lot of material. Do you think that's true for you as well, Kai?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't hide away from the fact that politically it's been such a seismic shift to, you know, sort of far right, and obviously like like everyone said, it's something that you can't not talk about. I don't really talk about. Much of my material isn't political, but it's just something you can't really get away from.
You can't avoid it at the moment. We're in a situation where reality is stranger than fiction. I was watching an episode of I love In the Thick of It, if any of you remember that show. I was watching an episode of that, and it actually seemed quite tame. Now, compared to what's actually going on.
Exactly. I kind of feel sorry for kind of political satirists, because it's almost like you don't need to do that. You can just literally point to a newspaper.
Just go to BBC News 24.
Yeah, just watch read the Daily Mail. That's pretty much like the Beano nowadays. But yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, it's for me. I do more observational stuff, but it's something you cannot get away from. So yeah, that's definitely something that I found I do more and more.
Do you find like humour in everyday life when you're saying like you do more observational stuff? Like, are we going to be hearing about like your chat at the Asian Network on your show or something?
Definitely, that's the thing. I was actually saying to just earlier, just before I came on. Being a comedian is quite incredible, because when something bad happens to you, you feel bad for about 5 minutes, and then instantly you're like, this is great material. I can do a good joke about this.
Make some money from this.
Exactly. So it's kind of nice doing comedy. It's kind of a nice way of looking at things when something bad happens to you. There's always a funny side of it. It's kind of an alchemy to that. And I kind of, that's one of the things I really enjoy about comedy.
So always the funny silver lining.
Exactly.
So you went from music to comedy.
Yeah.
And now you're writing a sitcom.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, I wrote this sitcom a while back. It's actually one of the initial reasons I got into doing stand-up anyway. So I wrote a sitcom and then thought, I'll get up stand-up comedy. It's been in the works now, so just getting recorded and things like that. So it's yet to be like commissioned. So watch this space or hear this space.
Can you give us a top line of like, you know, what you're looking at? What's it about?
It's about like it's kind of like a young group of like mid-20s, like like mid-20s guys who just live in this house. It sounds kind of boring, but it's...
Is it just autobiographical?
Yeah,
But
it basically is. I think with comedy, everything's slightly autobiographical because you can kind of only write about what you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when I come and see this night, I'm going to be like, well, Kai said you're just writing about what you know. So obviously this has all happened to all of you guys.
Yeah,
You're probably getting some people in trouble there.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. But that's the good thing about this Asian night as well, is because you can actually, sometimes you're a bit apprehensive about having certain Asian references, especially when you're doing a mainstream audience where the majority of them are, English. And you think, well, none of these people are going to really get a lot of these references, and you have to kind of tailor your material. But obviously doing this night, we're going to have obviously a lot of the same kind of references. So you've got a lot more freedom. So that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to this night.
Well, we've got Reem coming over from the States as well. Reem, are you worried, like Kai said, that people might not understand like cultural references and things like that? Or do you think humour just transcends all boundaries?
I'm more worried they won't understand my accent. I've been looking at what jokes I'm going to prepare and bring to the stage, and I am definitely more aware of it, just because I don't want to just make Trump jokes the entire time. I know that you have your own political climate that you're dealing with. So
that gives us enough comedy, trust me.
Right? Exactly. So it's definitely something in the back of my mind, but I do think that humor is universal. And I think that's why comedy is such a great tool to change the world and to just have us all be on the same page, because, we can all laugh at something regardless what language it is. It's down to the basics.
Do you know what, guys? I'll ask you all this. And very quickly before we go to the news, that we debated the other day some comedians that had done a sketch about ISIS, the Real Housewives of ISIS, and they got a lot of backlash. What do you make of that, Kai?
I haven't watched it. I saw the reports about it. Yeah, see, I think...
Very quickly, I've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I kind of think maybe it's a bit of a target and kind of an easy joke to make. That's my personal opinion.
Reem, do you think everything is fair game when it comes to comedy?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily always received well, so you have to anticipate that and be ready for the backlash.
Well, I've had some fantastic guests today, a fantastic big debate topic, and some great callers. It's been a jam-packed show. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Okay. I'll see you down at Asian Fest on the 8th of April. I'm very much looking forward to it at the Watford Coliseum.